Welcome back to the Midnight Who Show, and this is, of course, the start of the Big Finish Takeover Week here to celebrate 20 years of them producing Doctor Who audios. We're going to be taking a look at 2 new releases and 2 past releases from Big Finish over the next couple of weeks. And we're going to start today off with, of course, the War Master Rage of the Time Lords. Now, of course, this is the 3rd War Master box set, and very much like the first box set, it's very it's very standalone feeling, but they all kind of interconnect, and it's all revealed what the whole box set was all about toward the end of it. And this was a great, but somewhat okay box set. It's like, it had a really good idea to it, but it also was just kind of not all there in some stories. I will say, though, the first story, which was, of course, Survivor, was really good. It was a good opener. It was a very good character-driven story. You get to see this character of Alice, who is basically, her life is basically being destroyed by the Master. The Master wants her for a greater purpose for him, and he's basically trying to show her who she really is, and basically, all around it, her world is falling apart. Now, this story, of course, takes place in World War II, and that's a great setting. You know, Doctor Who's been there a lot, and I really kind of like how we get to see this just village there. And soon the War Master gets there, and basically, it's never the same. The village is never the same. And you also get to see how cruel the Master can be at times. Basically only doing it to serve his goal. And I really like that, but you also don't know what the goal of the Master is. And I think this is why I kind of like about these kind of standalone but interconnected stories, is you basically like, well, what is the end game? What's going on? And I like that. Now, of course, this was a good story. To me, like I said, it was a great character, but also the sound design was really good. The performer who played Alice did a great job with the story, and it was a great, great job. On the other side, though, the Coney Island Chameleon, I did not like. It was another where the Master was basically trying to, convince someone to come along with him, and, him being in disguise. It's New York, Coney Island, but I felt myself kind of being bored by the story. I didn't really enjoy it. It was not like a bad listen, though. It's not one of those stories like, this is just really bad. Like, this needed like 8 more revisions of the script, maybe. This story, I just felt like it's just there. It's not something that I think is remarkable. And I think the box set is actually, well, it's actually going to be a 2-parter. So the last 2 stories of these are 2-parters, and you get to see the Master trying to basically complete his goal. You get to see Alice again, but you don't really get to see much from the Coney Island Chameleon, which is kind of weird. There's not much references to that, except like the Master basically has been to a lot of places trying to get people to complete his goal. And of course, he's just keeping Alice there, and you kind of see how he's continuing to kind of just torture her. He's now using her as like his experiment. He needs her for something. That's all she was to him. Just another point for him to get, another way for him to complete his goal. He wasn't really caring too much about her. He just wanted her for what he really needed her for. Just like the Master. So basically, the main goal of Alice was to get the Doctor there, because that's what the Master really needed. Now, of course, the Doctor does show up, and, that's when the really kind of big thing begins. The Master now has the last part. He needed the Doctor to complete this kind of rage, this kind of his own species that he can control. And basically, in the second part of the story, you basically kind of have to see the War Master still being up to his own self, using the Doctor, but they also kind of have to defeat the rage. They don't quite defeat the rage, though. At least, in a way that's, how it's normal, that they basically kind of absorbed and something happened with them. But in a way, though, this is what I really like about the story. Yes, we have the Doctor in it, but he wasn't the main star still. This was the War Master series, and he still shined. And I really loved the interaction between the Doctor and, of course, this version of the Master. It was just great to hear it. And I really just liked hearing how, the Master is just their interaction was great. And I really thought it was a really good idea to have this interaction. I think it was great. And, you get to see kind of how the Master really is in both these stories. It's kind of interesting how he's on his own ship, his own crew, and they're all working with him to complete whatever this project was. So they do explain, in, of course, Utopia, we do see the Master there, and the Doctor, of course, did not recognize him. So they do explain why that is. The Master basically wiped his memory of this event. You know, just like the Master would always do. But yeah, overall, Rage of the Time Lords, I don't think it was probably the best box set in the War Master series, but I won't say it's a bad one. It was a great listen. Of course, the War Master is a great incarnation of the Master. Derek Jacobi does a great job in performing this character. He's very, he's very cunning, he's very manipulative, and he's just really, he's all the best parts of all the versions of the Master we got. And I think this is a really good series, because, he's kind of working outside the Time War. He's just kind of doing his own thing in there, and that's what I really like about it. So, yep, this was a great box set. There's only one story that I would say is not the best, but hey, you know what? It was still a great box set nonetheless. And if you, of course, listen to this box set, let me know your guys' thoughts on it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next Big Finish Takeover review. Bye, everyone.